Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Christy. I'm a therapist and a relationship coach. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. We talk about psychology tips, science-based psychology tips, in combination with some modern tactics to genuinely help men and women understand each other a little bit more and close the gap between you and her specifically. And so if you like topics like this, please do me a favor and press the subscribe button and hit the like button and let me know down below, why are you here? Is there something in which you're not understanding about your own life right now? How's your mental health? I really want to hear from you guys. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to build emotional intimacy with a woman that you genuinely care about, or in general with anyone in this society. So I have a lot of clients who feel as though they are completely transformed and they're doing everything that they need to do. They're disciplined, they're purposeful, right? You've transformed into a being in which you're extremely proud of, or at least on paper, you should be getting everything right, right? And many times they can get a lot of women that in the door, okay? But they fail to actually get the one thing that they yearn for very specifically, which is emotional intimacy with women specifically that they can actually connect with or want to connect with, right? And so I always say genuine attraction, genuine connectiveness between two people is not anything that money can buy, okay? And I want to talk about essentially what that's like, what you need to do specifically in order to create more emotional intimacy with the woman that you genuinely desire. So, why emotional intimacy is so important for men to work on is these stories that I hear from you guys. Either you are failing to get to a second date, a third date specifically, failing to really create spark, or you're constantly in the friend zone with the women that you actually might consider as really close to women who you genuinely want to connect to and want to build a romantic relationship with, right? You always get friend zoned. Or you've had a girlfriend for a couple of years and it's ended in a breakup with her essentially telling you that I love you, but I'm just not in love with you, okay? So in today's video specifically, I want to talk about the differences between emotional intimacy versus chemistry. Now, I always say you can't talk about one theme without talking about the polarizing themes of things. And so it's really important to know when you should start using chemistry or focusing on chemistry, and when emotional intimacy or building emotional intimacy with the people around you, or at least with the woman that you genuinely want to connect to, is extremely important for you to not only get her, right, but to maintain the relationship and also for your mental health. And I just want to highlight that it genuinely really frustrates me when I hear all these relationship gurus or coaches or alpha males that talk about essentially you don't need to be intimate with your emotions, right? Like all you have to do is go work out, go be strong, get rich, get a six pack, and you'll get any woman that you desire. And what I want to say is that is generally true to get the general population of women into the door. But if you really want to focus on wellness, a healthy union, and being connected to the woman and having her feel connected to you, it's really important that you know how to create emotional intimacy for your mental health and to connect with her specifically. Because what the practice of all these relationship gurus and relationship coaches out there that I kind of disagree with, although their tactics are sometimes very useful in the beginning stages of dating, is that it creates actually a larger gap, a larger facade, a larger disconnectiveness between you and the woman that you want to be with. It doesn't create trust, loyalty, and compassion for each other, and that teamwork that everyone is yearning for, okay? I'm gonna talk about how to build emotional intimacy, what's the differences between emotional intimacy and chemistry, and how these terminologies come into play in your own life as a man in the first couple stages of dating, okay? And how you can what you should focus on. And then the third one is why it's so important to ensure that you know how to create it when you're maintaining a relationship in general. Before I explain what you should start reflecting on, I think it's important for me to really quickly, briefly break down how men are built and how the general population and patterns and societal patterns are built and how you're influenced to behave in the way that you are, okay? It's both biological and environmental, okay? So in science, you're never just one way. You're influenced by your environment and your society specifically. And so with men, the first point that I want to go over for you to start really reflecting on and thinking about is how you interact with other men. Now, why this is important is because if you're generally looking at the emotional variables that men share between each other, I often hear that men don't normally share it in the fear of obviously being weak, or with more healthy male counterparts, or men don't know what to do with emotions, okay? So sometimes I've had clients who come to me and tell me like, yeah, so I told my friend that I was depressed and he just looked at me without really much response and said, okay, so welcome to the club, buddy. Like, you're a man, right? This is what we do. And so that friend understood, right, that they're both going through the same thing, or they've both had similar experiences in their journey as a man. And so they kind of just told them like, hey, welcome. I get it. No problem. Suck it up. Like, I get it, bro, right? Like, let's have some beer. Let's go work out. And that may be a very helpful thing halfway, right? 80% of the way. But it really creates this inability to practice the need of actually accepting help from your friends because you're not used to it, right? And you're also kind of feeling men are not taught, but they don't have the opportunities to practice that they are strong. But there are moments in which it's important for you to get reciprocal support and guidance from people. It's just a shared experience, right? And so not enough opportunities to practice. By no means am I saying I'm trying to feminize you, but it's extremely important to understand how you're influenced in the way that you're influenced, because as a result, this kind of interaction between men versus men, essentially between your societal groups, is like, hey, I get it, bro, like completely get you. There is this idea in your head specifically that my feelings are useless. Emotions are kind of useless. There's no point of even talking about it. Like, other people are going through the same thing anyways. And so who cares? Let's just go work out and hope that solves everything, right? And so bottles up, and you either bottle it up and try to numb yourself. And what that creates is the inability to actually want to, or feel the need to, or the capacity to actually experience emotions. Now, emotions is on a spectrum, and a lot of my clients that I talk to, their spectrum is quite low, right? It's either you're angry, or you're sad, or you're happy, right? And so a lot of the times, not only are male social groups kind of adaptive mechanism that emotions are quite useless, there's no point of really talking about it, that has led to men also not being in complete awareness of what they're feeling, and also they don't have experience, or they're inexperienced in actually trying to experience their emotions to its fullest, okay? So point number one that I'm trying to make is, as a man, for you to grow emotional intimacy with the world and with women in general, truly very important for you to start growing emotional intimacy with yourself. Again, not trying to feminize you, not trying to tell you to start crying to everyone, right? But important for you to be aware of how you're influenced and the way you're influenced, and how to honestly guide friends around you with having the conversations that you genuinely want to have. So it could sound like, hey, bro, can you kind of walk me through what I should do? I need some support right now, right? That would be a great, productive, proactive way of telling someone of how you're feeling and also what you need. Because again, men who are told normally that from a friend that they're going through a bad day, it's very common for them to just be like, reassure, right? Reassure them, hey, I get it, no problem, bro. I feel you, bro, right? Like, I totally get it. That shared experience of what you need in order to kind of feel supported. Okay, so emotional intimacy with self, extremely important, and understand how you're being influenced by those around you and how society is built for men. Now, let's get straight to how to build emotional intimacy with women now. If it's your first time on my channel, I like talking about more of the science-based tactics in combination with how it shows up in real life. And so please bear with me, but it's really important for you to understand at a granular level how some of these things come into play, okay? So, to talk about a first date, it's also really important to talk about modern trends specifically because dates now has been so fast-paced. And what fast-paced means at a granular level is that people has mistaken chemistry with emotional intimacy, okay? It's two totally different things. You can have chemistry with a woman, but you can still feel not connected to her, right? And vice versa. She can have chemistry with you, and I've heard this so many times where a woman has chemistry with that man, but there's no amount of emotional intimacy being exchanged in which kind of pulls her over the fence and say, wow, I care about this man. So if you want to get to that point, it's really important for you to understand the differences between chemistry and emotional intimacy. Now, when we're talking about a first date, it's really hard to create emotional intimacy, okay? But it's not impossible. But let me explain, okay? So on a first date, one of the downfalls that I see is that people focus on the wrong thing, okay? They're extremely list focused. And what that means is with how fast-paced modern dating has become, men and women are confusing chemistry specifically with a list of attributes or variables that they're looking for in a woman or a man. Requirements, standards. So what this has created in modern dating is essentially for men, what you're doing on a first date is essentially you're huffing and puffing, showing that you make money, you have a car, you're at executive position, right? You're trying to show that you match the symbol of what women are looking for, which is being a provider. Okay? And so in that action, you are trying to ensure that you're checking off all the lists. And it's kind of sometimes, I'm going to be gentle with saying this, what I call a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? And it's an opportunity for you to feel powerful and secure with yourself and that you have great things going on in your life. And so, although extremely important aspect of that, I always tell men, be aware of how over the top or how much you focus on, how much that takes over the date. But I don't want to blame you because a lot of women nowadays have extremely concrete kind of checklists that they're looking for, essentially, in a partner. And sorry, women don't come off with like a job application or their requirements for what they're looking for printed on their forehead. And so some of these points or concrete standards and expectations might be a little bit different from one woman than another, right? And so I get it. You're trying your best to go with the general themes of what general population wants in a partner. And so it kind of accentuates your willingness or your need to boast and try to show your value as a man, right? You go down the list because you're kind of shooting at blindly, right? You don't know where the target is. And so you're just going to throw every single dart at the target and hope that it shoots the one that she's looking for, right? And so it's really unfair, right? I get it. And that's why I genuinely think relationship gurus out there who tell you to be the leader, show that you're masculine all the way, show that you're a provider, setting the date, setting the place, picking her up, right? Showing that you are proactive and you're a man of leadership just doesn't work all the time, because some women will see that as controlling. Like, he just didn't even ask me about anything. He didn't ask if I wanted to even do that, right? And some women, if you don't do that, if you don't show that leadership vibe, setting the date, right? Setting the time, setting everything out right, and having her just sit back and relax, right? Will feel as though you're not doing enough. If you're not doing that at all, you're like, oh, is he just weak, right? So it's important essentially to try to let go of the things that you need to do. Let go of the interview like dates specifically. Why that doesn't help at all in trying to build emotional intimacy? It's because everybody does that. Everybody has done that and it hasn't worked, right? Going down a list of things in which a man should be doing and a woman knows, okay, like this is what you need. Like going down a list of your resume and like having her ask you questions about your hobbies, like what have you done at XYZ, right? About your life and things like that. It doesn't create emotional intimacy, and the act of doing it between each other creates a very tense feeling of an interview. Okay, you're essentially just asking each other random questions to try to get to know each other more, right? But what I want you guys to actually focus on a first date, or when you're trying to connect to a woman specifically, is actually two aspects. Number one is doing something in which you can share what I call the shared emotional incidences or shared emotional experiences, where you guys are sharing the same emotional feeling. So the event and the environment and the shared emotional experiences are way more important in my point of view than the interview like dates, right? You trying to show off that you're in this huff and puff gorilla mode. You go through the storytelling of the possibly same story that you're going over with all the women that you've gone over, right? That you've been on a date with, this phantom image in your head of what you think she wants to see or hear. In that act of trying to fill those gaps, you're missing the point and crucial moments of creating shared emotional experiences, whether they be positive or negative. She's kind of scared because you guys went into like a horror house, went on a roller coaster, right? You're about to go down and she's like, right? And you're scared, but you're trying to, that you're kind of toughen up, but you're kind of scared. And like you're both sharing that same emotional precocity. That's what creates true emotional intimacy as early as a first date. And that's fun, right? It's fun. Those relationship gurus that tell you, have fun, right? You're not trying to create it out of nothing. The environment matters a lot. And it's not by just telling her everything about your life and that you've gone over the same story with every single woman out there. So I feel a need to kind of touch upon this really quickly. Shared emotional experiences are kind of related to what the themes of trauma bonding means, okay? Now, I'm not telling you to go trauma bond with women to kind of get them attracted to you or get them to get attached to you, but that's what trauma bonding does. When you guys are experiencing the same issue, problem, trauma, and you guys get through it together. Okay, you guys are sharing the same experience together, right? And so it's not by, you'll hear sometimes women who take back, messed up a lot and he's a lot and she's still with him and with full loyalty, right? Is because many times trauma bonding, when you're sharing the same experiences together, it creates an opportunity for emotional intimacy. And that creates a lot more value and connectiveness between two people than a first date going over like an interview date or flaunting your resume, flaunting your car can do. Okay? That's why relationship gurus don't know what they're talking about, because like using your car, flaunting your credit card, flaunting your house, yeah, it creates possibly a false facade of chemistry and attraction, but it doesn't create emotional intimacy, which is important in building loyalty, trust, and compassion, and that connectiveness that everybody's talking about. Okay, so first dates, focus on not interview like dates, focus on building emotional intimacy by creating instances in which you can have shared emotional experiences. You know, you can feel things with each other. You can try to feel the spectrums of things, right? You can go to a roller coaster ride and like have her go, like, I've done that before, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, you know, I thought we were friends and now there's like a moment, right? Like that is really important. Now, number 2, okay? Emotional intimacy is extremely important in understanding how to build and maintain in a long-term relationship with a woman. So, before I talk about how to build it, I want you to understand, as a man, building emotional intimacy should not be ever one-sided. Not only is it your obligation as the provider and the protector to make her feel safe, understood, and heard, it's important for you to also admit to your needs as a man, that you need that from a woman to feel safe, to feel heard, and to feel supported. Now, it's really important, though, you understand that women are not used hearing from a man that he needs help, but it doesn't always mean that she doesn't want to, okay? I don't know how many times I've heard it from my girlfriends that like, well, he seemed like he got it handled. He was a little bit stressed, but he's stressed most of the times, and so I just kind of let him be, right? And so that is a very common attribute of men and women specifically, right? The first point came into play, which I essentially talk about how men deal with emotions between each other specifically, that you got it handled most of the times, right? And so it's important to understand that to maintain emotional intimacy in a long-term relationship, men, you have to be brave enough to actually ask for help. And when you're asking for help, there's 2 aspects I really want you guys to focus on. First is you have to be brave enough to actually ask for help and understand that you're not weak asking for help. And then number 2 is it's important for you to do this because it gives you the opportunity to test if the woman actually genuinely wants to help you but just doesn't know how, if she's the right one for you. Now, going down the point a little bit further, the differences in society between men and women is that men are essentially built and taught, right? Environment plus biology. It's a very powerful thing, right? Like you're constantly the person providing solutions. You got it, you're independent, and it's really powerful. Like I don't want you to let go of that at all. That's something I'm trying to work on as a woman. It's not something you should feel like you should start being more feminized about, okay? But if you're kind of constantly one-sided and holding that to the very core of your being as a man, that's part of your identity as a man. I'm going to be a provider. I'm going to be independent. I'm a man of agency and I'm strong. I'm tough, right? This doesn't create an opportunity to create emotional intimacy with her. It's just going to create a downfall of you essentially constantly being smothered against a wall, taking all the roles that you possibly can't even handle, and holding a ton of resentment and blame towards your women or your girlfriend, wife, that she doesn't want to help you. She's draining you. She's an obligation. She's a liability. So, in maintaining emotional intimacy with a woman specifically, when I have clients ask me this, I ask them, how do you ask your girlfriend or wife for support? And normally I get this blank-eyed, wide-eyed look and you go, what do you mean ask for help? What do you mean how? Either I get the answers of like, I just tell her I'm pissed off today, and then I gets left at that, or I don't tell her at all. What do you mean ask for support? Very, very common response, okay? And on the other side of the spectrum, I hear a lot of women essentially say, like, I felt like we were living two lives. He's strong, I saw his potential, like, great, great man, but I felt like we were living two lives. He had his roles, he's going to work, he's doing his thing, right? And I'm living my life, I'm doing my thing, and I have my roles, right? I cook, he goes to work, or vice versa, right? Like, maybe it's not genderized, but essentially what it creates is two lives, and you guys are doing your own thing, and there's no need for connectiveness. She doesn't feel connected to him. She wanted to know what was going on in your head and what she can do to help you. So, to create emotional intimacy, guys, you have to understand how to ask for it in a way in which you don't get rejected. And what that means is a lot of the times it can feel as though a woman is rejecting you when you're telling her you're pissed off, but she is just unaware of what she can do to help you, right? And so it can sound a little bit like this if you want to ask for support and create emotional intimacy and test a woman if she has the capacity to show you that she wants to help and she wants to provide value and she wants to be supportive of you. She has the capacity to do that. Now, doing this can guide her with a little bit of concrete directions as to how to navigate through helping you in what you need, specifically giving you the support that you need. But what it will do for a woman is essentially it will heighten her natural need or proclivity to nurture and help people if she's very feminine. And when you're able to heighten that attribute in a woman, it makes her feel more valuable in your life, and it makes her feel as though she's connected to you. A woman who is naturally feminine will want to help, will want to nurture, but she just sometimes doesn't know how if a man doesn't provide some directions as to what he needs, or keeps things very, very, very close to himself, or says things are totally fine when things are not, right? But you're coming with a ton of rage and anger, and you're kind of pissy when you're coming home, right? And so if you're not asking for support, she can't provide her value to you if she doesn't know what you need, right? And she also doesn't have the ability to heighten her nurturing side. And secondly, right, it's important to do this, to ask for help and test if a woman is essentially going to give you help, because it shows you as a man that, hey, is she going to be the woman that I genuinely need in a relationship? So what all those relationship gurus has told you to be strong and like your man of leadership, again, it gets you through the door, but it doesn't create emotional intimacy with her and for you to get what you need as a man inwardly. And it also prevents a lot of conflicts or built up resentment from either partners that just doesn't get talked about. Just by letting her know what's going on in your head creates emotional intimacy with her. And when you're doing that, right, it also provides you with the opportunity to see if she has the capacity to help you. If she rejects it constantly, she avoids it constantly, right? Now, that's for you to decide whether or not that woman is the woman that is going to be the one for you. Okay, guys, I hope you guys found this video really helpful. Those are some tips that I would give to my clients specifically that are more psychology focused, but focused on the well-being of you as a human being and as a man, and really genuinely, authentically getting what I think human beings' basic needs in any relationship is to feel fulfilled. Okay, first date, right? Shared experiences are more important than your resume. Not saying you shouldn't be working on your resume, but you don't have to let go of trying to boast that all of the time and going through the same storytelling all the time. Like, it doesn't create emotional intimacy and shared experiences between a woman and you, okay? And then very lastly is actually understanding that creating emotional intimacy when you're in a relationship requires for you to actually ask for help and test whether or not she has the ability to do that by giving her directions as to how you're feeling. And many times men are not taught taught to do that, because when the male to male counterpart specifically, you tell something to your friend, he goes, yeah, I feel you, bro. And it kind of gets rejected, right? Sometimes you're taught emotions are useless, right? And so, yes, really important to understand those aspects. I hope you found this video helpful, and please join me next time for my next video. I'm gonna think about what I want to write about and talk about. But I hope you found this video helpful. Please, guys, men's mental health is extremely important. Just because you talk about your emotions and you have emotions, it doesn't make you weak, right? Time to really debunk the fact that emotions are useless and causes weakness. It causes weakness if you don't know how to handle it, and that's probably why men think emotions are useless. Okay, so love you guys all, and I hope you create some emotional intimacy with the people around you and her a little bit more after today. Okay, leave me down in the comments, what did you learn, and any kind of like reflections and kind of criticisms that you would say I should edit my videos. Okay, love you guys all. See you next time. Hi everyone, if you enjoyed our content, don't forget to follow us on TikTok and IG where we post daily, and YouTube where we post weekly.